The Chicago Blackhawks are rolling, and perhaps now young rookie Brandon Saad is rolling too. Welcome into the Sporting News Studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort. Joining me now to talk about the National Hockey League, as we do every week, Jesse Spector, our NHL writer. And how great must it be, Jesse, to be Brandon Saad playing with Jonathan Toews, Marian Hossa on a Chicago Blackhawk team that's rolling, and he's doing better too. Tell me your thoughts on Saad.
Yeah, he told me that he's having a lot of fun, and why wouldn't he be playing with Jonathan Toews and Marian Hossa, two of the best players in the NHL. He's a 20-year-old rookie, got 2 games in the regular season with the Blackhawks last year, 2 games in the playoffs, and picked up an assist in Game 5 against Phoenix. So he got that taste last year, and that helped him to be a little bit more comfortable when he came in this year. That and the fact that he played in the AHL during the lockout. It's hard to imagine the Chicago Blackhawks getting better, but as Saad comes into his own here, that's what you're going to see. And he had a goal and 2 assists on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and the thing I love about what you wrote about him was that he kind of was just taking everything in stride. I think some guys would feel a lot of pressure to put up some numbers playing with those other guys, but instead he's just really having fun, and now the numbers are starting to come.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's something where getting that taste of NHL action helped him last year, that he knows that it's not just about what you do on the stat sheet. It's about being comfortable and playing the game the right way and making sure that you're being an effective part of your line, and he's been able to do that this year.
Now, one of the things the Blackhawks are so good at is puck possession, and it's really a key to today's game, it would seem. I know last year we've talked a lot about block shots, but if you look at the 2 teams that made the Stanley Cup final last year, they didn't block a lot of shots. What they did was they possessed the puck very well. So talk about puck possession in the game, and specifically about the St. Louis Blues and how they've maybe fallen off in that category a little bit.
Yeah, the thing about block shots is that if you're blocking a ton of shots, it means that your opponents are getting a ton of shots against you because they have the puck all the time. And that's something that I'm sure you and I will talk about in the future, that maybe a better indication of how well you're playing defense isn't your total number of block shots, but how many of your opponent's shots you block as a percentage of their total attempts. As far as having the puck goes, you see teams like the Blackhawks just having possession all the time and creating face-offs in their opponent's zone. The LA Kings as well, they're the top team in the league as far as the Corsi statistic goes, that measurement of how many shot attempts you get for and against at 5-on-5, and they've been very impressive at that, both last year and this year. Their problem last year wasn't that they didn't have the puck, it was that none of their shots were going in. They had the lowest shooting percentage in the NHL, and that led to them being the 8th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. Blues last year were 5th. This year they're down to 9th, and when you see them having Alex Steen, Vladimir Tarasenko, Andy McDonald all on IR, that's not very helpful because those guys are the guys that are really the finishers. So the Blues are still a pretty good puck possession team, definitely above average in the NHL, but they need to get their best scorers back on the ice.
Absolutely, and when you possess the puck 5-on-5, generally that helps you on specialty teams as well. One interesting thing you noticed this week was teams' different use of the waiver wire. We saw a few pickups this week. Contrast for me how, say, the Washington Capitals, Vancouver Canucks, Nashville Predators have used the waiver wire, and then maybe the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers, how they didn't use the waiver wire.
Washington, Vancouver, and Nashville have all made claims in the past week. Washington and Vancouver both picking up some tough guys. Aaron Volpatti going from Vancouver to Washington on waivers, actually, and then the Canucks turned right around and said, well, we lost Volpatti, we might as well pick up a guy off waivers, and they got Tom Sestito from the Philadelphia Flyers. And that's really the way that you should be acquiring your tough guys, I think, because they're on waivers a lot, because those are the most common guys that teams are going to try to pass through waivers to get them to the AHL. So if you need to pick up a guy like that, that's the best way to do it most of the time, rather than what the Oilers did in trading that pick to the Maple Leafs to get Mike Brown, who's primarily a fighter. And then last night in his debut, the guy that fights on the Oilers is actually Jeff Petrie, so that's a strike against them. And then you saw the Calgary Flames making a trade for Brian McGrattan a day after he had cleared waivers. And yeah, there were some reasons that the Flames didn't go the waiver wire route, because they were up at 49 contracts. They didn't want to get to 50 because they were pursuing Ryan O'Reilly. What I really like is what the Nashville Predators did this week in picking up Bobby Butler from the New Jersey Devils, as well as Zach Boychuk. Those are guys that have shown an ability to score at lower levels but have struggled in the NHL. Well, the Predators have struggled to score in the NHL themselves. So what they're figuring is that if we bring in some guys with talent, maybe it clicks here, and you're not risking anything when you pick up a Bobby Butler and a Zach Boychuk on waivers.
No doubt about it. Hey, listen, Jesse, thanks so much for your time this week. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thank you, Tom.